The two rucks in Tim English and Lloyd Meek go nuts to start off the fantasy and Supercoach weekend for round 13. Well, I should say round. It wasn't actually the weekend, as this was the late Thursday night game at the Docklands between the Bulldogs and the Hawks. So let's get into the analysis here. So the Bulldogs, what went wrong is the big question. And one thing I should actually point out is the CBAs is probably an interesting thing to look at in this game. If we look at the Western Bulldogs here and we look at this and you go, what in the world happened here? They actually didn't have, they don't have CBAs up, so I have to grab it up on my phone. But I can tell you, because I was just looking at this going, Libba did not have 85% CBAs. If we look at it, there was 20 goals on the day, and I don't think any of them came right at quarter's end. So there was 24 CBAs to be had. If I just quickly look at it, you had Meek and English at 20. You had Newcomb at 19. BONT and Pelly at 18. Ward at 17. Richards and Kennedy 15. Nash and Warple 14. Libba 11 of 24. Libba 11 of 24. And that is about 45%, maybe a little bit more, 45.8%, so 46% CBAs. And we look at this and you go, Libba minus 31% CBAs and 8 CBAs to Treloar. 8 divided by 24 is 33%. So Libba's CBAs basically got shared between him and Treloar directly. They basically just went that and then just directly, because if you look at Kennedy and Richards, they had 15 divided by 24, which is 62%. That is about what they are doing roughly between them. There's 70% on average, and they did 62.5%, so a little bit difference there. Bontempelli, I think, was a little bit up. If we look at, he was 18 of 24, which is 75%. So if you actually look at the three there and you go 58 plus 64 plus 76, and you go, that is roughly about 198% of the CBAs. Then you take off Bontempelli 75, and then you take off the two 62.5s, and you get them actually at about 2% differential. So these three were all at their averages if you take a look at it. So they were all, these three were at their average, and then you had basically just Treloar taking Richards's some of Liberatore's numbers, and then Ed Richards was also at Ed Richards was at his normal number, and then Treloar was down. So that's where it was. And then you had then you had Riley Sanders and Fraser taking a little bit of time, but they weren't anything major there. If we just look at Fraser's numbers are a little bit down now. And then Sanders was at 13%, and that is roughly what he was at. 3 out of 24 is 1/8, which is 13% itself. So there's that as well. So that's where the real numbers lie. And yeah, Libba's role now kind of dudded a little bit, I would say. And that's why you could see that he went at 14 touches and 63 fantasy points. We'll go into it in a second here. But yeah, his role was dudded a little bit, I would say. And now he probably is a trade out, which is a real worry because he's sat his buy already. And that's a big problem. But Tim English, 139, 127, 20 touches, 5 marks, 9 tackles, 31 hitouts. He did everything, only matched by pretty much Lloyd Meek. Matt Kennedy, I think he gets heavily, disgracefully underscored by Champions Data in terms of Supercoach. Like, you look at here, let's look at him versus Ed Richards. 4 more kicks, same amount of handballs, 5 more marks, 1 more tackle, 1 less free kick against, 1 more free kick for, the same amount of goals. Yes, he was minus 190 meters gained, same amount of contested possessions, 1 less clearance, at more efficient kicking by foot or by disposal efficiency, 2 more clangers. And I don't know about the turnovers. Let's actually just quickly look at the turnovers here. And this might be a defining factor, but I don't think that should be as defining as what it looks like anyway. It was 5 turnovers to 3. 5 turnovers to 3. Yes, the rating was a little bit different, but the rating is kind of a mix of everything. But to say that Matt Kennedy had let's look at the actual multiplier, I'd say 111 divided by 97. If we use that same multiplier, if we were to say that they had the same exact games, then Matt Kennedy is on a 151. Matt Kennedy's multiplier, if we actually look at it, 95 divided by 132, was a 71. Which, if you put any of these guys' games on, like even an Ed Richards, that puts him on a 69. That's how big the differential was, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, sort of shows the difference between those games. And yeah, if we just look quickly here with the rating points here, you'll see that Bontempelli apparently had a better game than the likes of a Kennedy. Tim English had apparently a worse game than Kennedy. Even though if we look here, you'll see that scoring doesn't really line up. So I just think that they criminally underrated him. They said that he apparently had a turnover and inefficient kick when he kicked it straight into Sam Davidson. So I'm really wondering what Champions Data is actually doing and watching games, because they were just they were statistically, as per their guidelines of disposals, incorrectly identifying Kennedy's disposals, putting them down as ineffective when statistically they were effective as per the ruling of an effective disposal. That's how bad they were. He got, I think it was 6 super coach points for, I want to say, I actually direct messaged someone about it and basically said that this is just dumb. Let's actually just see what it was. Let's just see. Kennedy tackled tackle inside 50, a clearance, contested possession, and an intercept marked for 6 super coach points. He had a tackle inside forward 50. He then got the resulting clearance, which was a contested possession, which then led to, I think, a score involvement. And then he also had an intercept mark, which might have been a contested mark inside 50, which then he had an effective disposal for and got 6 super coach points. That's just not good enough, to be honest with you, that he got 6. Bailey Dale, 112, 118, absolutely huge numbers. And yes, I do have Kennedy on both platforms, and I'm standing up for him, but it's something that I've sort of noticed with Kennedy in the last couple of weeks anyway, when I didn't have him, and then to this week to be focusing on him more, and then that to happen, it's pretty disappointing. Ed Richards, 25 touches, 7 tackles, because yeah, if we just look at this as well, let's look at the advanced stats as well. Center clearances. Kennedy apparently had, where is he? Apparently had 0, even though I know that he had 1. That's just really bad. Score involvement, Ed Richards 7, Bontempelli. Kennedy had 6, only 1 less than Ed Richards. He also had 3 intercept possessions, more than Ed Richards. Tackles inside 50 had 2 to Ed Richards 1. Inside 50s, Ed Richards had 6 compared to Kennedy's 3. So you're basically telling me that, and yeah, just look at it in comparison there. You can basically see it, that they were just dumbly underscoring his numbers. But anyway, Ed Richards 97, 111, that's fine. BONT probably had a really poor game, and I'm glad that I didn't grab him. I got plus 41 on fantasy because I had Kennedy, which is a really decent jump there. Rory Lobb had a pretty decent game, probably underscored comparative, probably just because of his ball use. Bailey Williams as well, just didn't do much in particular. Joel Frazier, not really that good of a game. Harms thought he did his his hammy in the first quarter. Libba, we already talked about. James O'Donnell as well was all right. Treloar on 67%. I don't know what they were thinking. You got to give him a game in the VFL. Riley Sanders just can't break into that midfield. He had 17 touches as well. A little bit too handball happy, but we'll see how he goes next year because he's going to have that forward status you would expect. Vandermeer, Norton should be played down back, to be honest with you. Doesn't provide anything up forward. Karmas is a better forward. Cleary, and then West Davidson as well. Probably deserves a rest now. He's been pretty poor the last couple of weeks. Gardner, or the last month or so, it feels like. Gardner, Dolan, and McNeil was subbed out. And then you had for Hawthorn, Lloyd Meek, 120, 134. He was mega. And he took some big intercept marks. And let's actually just double check that for you. If we go intercept possessions, you will see that Lloyd Meek on 4, and he also had 4 contested marks. I can also look at it in terms of the marks and the intercept marks. If we look at intercept marks here for the likes of the game, you had Lloyd Meek 3, and I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of them were contested marks. It might have been 2 because he might have had one that was just shanked straight to him. But yeah, he was huge. So was Weddle. And yeah, Dylan Moore, 106.79. Interesting. I'd like to see that role. You'd like to see that role get better than what it was. I feel like if we look at the CBAs, he had 0 CBAs, if I'm looking at it correctly. Let's just quickly check this. And let's go to Hawthorn. So you had, where is he? Dylan Moore, 0 CBAs. I'd have to look at the heat map again just quickly. It looks like he was playing more on a wing, which doesn't really improve his prospects. I think this was an outlier game. Ward's been outstanding since he's he's made a name for himself and sort of cemented his place in the side. Jack Ginnivan as well, thought he had a really good game. Don't know if the pointing the ball to the Western Bulldogs play is probably the best thing, but it is his style, so you sort of given toe with him. Morrison, all right. Weddle was outstanding, probably almost best on ground, I would say, just with his impact. Nash, Impey, McDonald's, none of these guys really matter. Butler, if he was 230k or even like 270k, you'd say yes, but he's like 360k, so I don't think you can go there. And then that's pretty much it. Ramsden is an interesting one as well, I think. But I wouldn't go there either with Ramsden. And then Warple was subbed out. McGuinness, Barras, and CJ came on and was pretty impactful in basically a quarter. But anyway, that is the video there going through the Western Bulldogs versus Hawthorn game. The Western Bulldogs midfield mix is confusing, but it looks like Kennedy, Ed Richards, BONT and Pele are their main 3 at this point. And then you've got sort of a combination of Libba and Treloar as well. And we'll just see how that makes out. But anyway, if you guys did enjoy that video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.